Yeah.
I just want to say a few things before you start. Welcome, everyone. We're delighted to have you. Polly's going to lead a guided meditation for some period of time.
3 minutes.
And then the total meditation time at the beginning will be 20 minutes. And then Polly will talk, and then it'll be time for Q&A. I am recording. If you want to ask a question and you do not want it recorded, please let me know, and I will turn off the recording during your conversation. You can go ahead and raise your hand at that point, and I'll talk about that at that time of how to talk when we get to that. Anything else, Polly?
I think we're good.
All right. Everyone can hear okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Yeah, great.
Okay. All right, we're here. Yay. All of the ability to be present together through technology is such a wonder, really. It's especially a wonderment if you can't see, right? It's like a total mystery. Yeah. But I feel the presence of everybody here in the room and with us through Zoom. So what we're going to do at first is just come home by closing our eyes, and I'll do a simple induction to move us into the space of our true nature. So as we close our eyes, we fall out of the external material 3D reality. We're on our way home. We close our eyes, and through the breath, we relax into the spaciousness of what we call our heart. And as we let go of the mind, we fall more and more into the heart, our true nature, the spaciousness. It is not a part of our body. It's not a part of our body mind. It is our true nature. It's the field of consciousness in which all arises, in which everything arises. Aliveness is here. Life is here. Presence is here. Everything that we aspire to, we already are. And we experience it in our connection in this field of awake awareness. This is home. And I am here now. Relaxing into the experience of aliveness and presence and the sense of connection with everything that you might have, that might have occurred to you that you wanted. You are already that, and it's here that you connect to that. And that is peace and freedom and aliveness and love and connection. Already that here now in the spacious, scintillating fullness of the arising, emerging consciousness, the awake awareness that we are. It is a blessing to be here now together, knowing the oneness that this is. We experience it now. Here, every one of us is exactly the same, alive, awake, aware. It's only in our mind and in our determination that we are a person, that we have differences and limitations and specificities that keep us separate. But here we are all one and alive and happy and connected. And so in this space, just relaxing now into this space, just going deeper, letting your mind fall away. As we allow the mind to dissolve and fall away, we're opening into what we call the heart, but it is our true nature. It is both infinite and spacious beyond space. It doesn't have any of the characteristics of the created reality. This is the real. And each one of us can say, I am that, and knowing that. So now we'll go into the deeper, the silence. And so it is. I've always thought that it was not a coincidence that the seed sound Om sounds like home. So present in that spaciousness that we shared in the meditation. But that has to become primary so that we know ourselves more as that and less as the fear-based individual. It's like there's a movement. It's everything we experienced just now. That opening is just right here now. I think in the past it was not so accessible. It was like I can remember in my own experience having to sit and do breathing and different things for a while to move into that space. But now for people like us who came into this incarnation to wake up out of the illusion of separation and the illusion of a fear-based reality caught in polarity, for those of us who came in specifically for this incarnational experience to wake up out of that, then we have access to it in any moment. And that's a really, that's a direction for practice. Noticing that there's difficulty or that there's something that's not working right, or that your mind is caught in fear of any kind, or rejection or resistance, then you can say, what's really true? Who knows that that's what's happening, right? That's the movie, yeah. So we have this, we're so alert and aware that the idea of staying in difficulty, staying caught in fear, remaining the connection to ourselves as an individual who's got to get something or avoid something to be okay. We're participating then in the frequency that's created this bad dream reality. And the preface in A Course in Miracles, probably everybody in here is one of their favorite lines from the Course, is nothing that is real can be threatened. Nothing that is unreal exists. Therein or herein lies the peace of God. So we know that what we've made up as what I call our body-mind unit avatar, right, who's running around in this virtual reality, playing war games or love games or whatever games, that's not real. What's real is where we were right now, right before I began to speak. Where we were is that spacious, awake awareness out of which everything emerges, including our little guy, our little avatar, our little 3D, what's it called in war games? An elf, our little 3D elf that's running around playing games in a 3D reality. So as we understand that that's a creation, then it fits in the category of what the Course is pointing to. It's unreal. It's a creation. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we identified with that, we experience that we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so we limit ourselves in terms of our own self-perception, and we project that onto others, and we limit them. And then we have this difficulty of everything looking like a problem. Seeing through our own self-judgment creates a distortion field in which the world shows up as one problem after another. And that keeps the mind engaged. And so the mind's goal is to be running the show. So as long as we're believing that there's a problem, and especially if we believe that someone else or we are the problem, then the mind has the catbird seat. It gets to run the show. Our job is to see that if we can see that, what I just described, we can see that, we can see the reality that where the difficulties are, or the, in quotes, problems are, then we are the seer. And we begin just in that to realize our true nature because the witness is the opening into our true nature. So anything that you can see, it's an object. Anything that's an object comes to pass. Anything that comes to pass has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so instead of being caught up, magnetized into an external where it's the unreal, at the very heart of it is the unreal. It's a projection. At least that's my take on it. Yeah. You know, we're like people in the Truman Show that are getting really close to that door in the fence, right? It's like, uh-oh, something's changing here. So our job is to have, I've said this recently in the groups I've been doing, is that this awake awareness that is our true nature, we need to allow it to be primary. We need to allow it to be everything. And we have a body-mind unit, a person, we have a human design, an astrology, we have a way of expressing, we have gifts, we have things in quotes to do, but that's not who we are. And in that shift out of identification with that, we move into the freedom of our true nature. Now, the other part of the story, which is one I often hesitate to go to, because I have issues with the idea of I create my own reality. And I have issues with that. But the thing about what I just described, as you identify with your true nature as primary, I am that. This is the awake awareness in which everything arises. Then the frequency that you're emitting is of the highest order. It's now aligned with the truth of who you are, the truth of the oneness. And because that frequency is the information into the quantum field, then what can show up in this reality, whether it's our personal lives or the collective reality, starts to go to the next higher order. Because the quantum field only gets its information as to how to show up as a 3D reality by, as it proved in the early double slit experiments, by the observation of the experimenter. So our observation, if it's through the filter, the distortion field of our limited identity, then the information we're sending into the field, and the field will always only say yes, is one that's based however subtly or however strongly in fear. So this is something of an altar call, right? And the altar is that spacious awake awareness that is our true nature. That's where we relax into that. That's where we surrender. That's where we go to and know. The knowing is, in the biblical sense, to be one with, right? Not knowing with our minds, but knowing with the simple connection of I am that. And that's the fun. You know, this reality is for fun. We've made it into a very serious zero game of some kind. Yeah. So with that as what I would consider to be what occurred to me as the message for today, is succinctly said, to know yourself as the awake awareness who has a body-mind unit. And when you need to pay attention to that, you can do that by reminding oneself who I am. I am the one that has that. Again, the witness is the opening into awake awareness. So if you can see it, you ain't it. That's like the litmus test, right? If I can see a problem, if I can see that I've got limitation here of age or disability or whatever, that's just what I have. It's not who I am. And that distinction is fundamental to the shift out of fear and into what we call love, which is simply another word for oneness, for connection. So that's the message for today. Yeah. And it's a powerful one. It's one that many of you have been close to and have experienced to some degree. At this point, the idea that you would put more validity in a wounded identity, the unreal, than you would in what we know as your true nature, well, I won't give you a bad grade, but But I would invite you to open to more possibility, to open to your own heart and mind, and to notice that you have this quirky, like I say for myself, this quirky little old lady who talks a lot, right? That's this one. But I am not that. That's what I have. And I have the privilege of being able to talk to awakening ones like yourselves. So I'd love for anybody else to participate in any way by offering something or by a question or whatever is up.
And if you have a question, you can go ahead and hit the reaction button and raise your hand. I'll keep my eye out on that. Or you can type in the chat either your question or in line. Okay, so when there's someone in the group here, Holly, we're going to repeat the question because they can't hear.
Okay,
So
great.
this is Priya. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Well, it's not such a specific question, so maybe I'll try to talk loud so maybe people can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay.
Okay, so because last week I was here and had a wonderful meditation experience with you, Polly, and I thank you so much. And thank you, Robert, and everyone to make this happen. And afterwards, I had mentioned to you about, we had a conversation outside of this outside of the meeting, after the meeting, about the dream time and why we dream. And you had the best explanation that I had ever heard. And so I wanted you to share that with everyone in the group. And also we were talking about lucid dreaming, and also about, I said, so my question was to you, I think, so when we die, is that when we wake up from this dream? And you had a great answer, and I believe, so I'd love for you to repeat that for everyone to make sure I got it right too.
You're counting on a memory from here, aren't you?
Well, I can try to
Right, we can
restate
do
it.
this together. We
Yeah.
can do this together. Yeah, yeah. It occurred to me years ago that the reason that we dream is so that we have an information about the nature of this, what we call the awake reality. We have an experience of creating an entire reality, right? Knowing that there are not 10,000 clowns in our bedroom when we dream about the circus. We're in bed and only we are there. But we've had this experience of this expanded reality, right? And so it occurred to me that was reality's way of allowing us to have a, what would you call it, a parallel in this life about how we're creating this reality. And I think that it's apt. I do believe that it's that way. When we wake up, like in the morning, and we've left that, we can think, wow, what a crazy dream that was. Yeah, but it's still back there, and we're now in this dream, right? We're now walking around in this dream, yeah, and creating this dream, and it's based that this dream is based in frequency for sure, just as that dream at night is, but more specifically in terms of our focus, our insistence actually on being this body mind. This dreamed character is pretty much who we think we are. And so now we're creating a reality. The feedback of that is looking as if there's an out there, which might be cause in my experience. But in a nighttime dream, what's cause in your experience, right? None of those players that you invited into your dream are, right? They may seem to be in the dream, in the narrative of the dream, but we get the information from there that I am sole source of this entire dream. That's what's true here and now. And as we know that's what's true, then we live more freely. We live relaxed into the presence of, this is mine, right? Now, what has to go in order to do that? This is getting off your topic, Priya. But what has to go in order to do that is the self-judgment has to go. Because as long as we have a self-judgment which is the lens through which we receive and perceive the external reality, we're going to be projecting judgment onto apparent others. Right? So when we drop that self-judgment, we have the experience of this is mine, just like a nighttime dream. And only if you become lucid in the dream at night will that be your experience, because even in a nighttime dream, you're playing out the character that this is happening to, and oh my God, but as we wake up, in every sense of the word, we start to realize the connection between who we're being and what's showing up. Because again, the quantum field is only saying yes to who we're being. We're frequency emitters, right? The way that we clear the frequency here is through identity. We relax out of the fear-based, I'm a piece of shit, or I don't matter, I don't deserve to live. And as we see that as kind of the part that we've been playing and see it as the unreal, we know the space of true nature is more real than that. It's source. We sense that. And so as we drop that and we're present here, we have the experience. I always talk about what changes when you drop an identity as a me, or as what we call a person, the psychological person, the me. When that falls away, the reason it falls away is because the self-judgment falls away. And when that falls away, you have the experience of what we've all been talking about for however many decades we've been on this path, as oneness. Because there's no judgment between you and all of that, all of them, all of us. There's no more that. So there's no separation. You have the experience of the connection that's already what's true, but not available to us as long as we have a judgment that intervenes. So when the self-judgment falls away, this is why the 6 steps is so important. That's how we access and discreate the self-judgment. When that self-judgment falls away, not only is there the oneness experience, but time falls away. So you're right here, right now, and this is it, yeah? Because only the mind creates time, a past and a future, a past with guilt, a future with fear, regret, or with worry. And so as that self-judgment falls away, you feel the connection. You're no longer caught in time with concern about a future or guilt about a past. So you're present here now. Everything that we talk about is caught in that creation of a limited identity based in fear. I'm not good enough, or I'm not the one. So I got way off of dreaming, didn't I?
No, that was great. I appreciate that. But so when you die,
The dying part, yes. Dying, yeah. Yeah, so when you drop, when consciousness shifts, I think one reason that plant medicine and altered states are so prevalent right now is because of the we're wanting to understand reality more as it is, instead of the linear sequential dynamic that we've created to be through our insistence on time and fear. So I think that the reality is that consciousness creates. Everything arises in consciousness on the basis of what the, well, in this case, identity is, right? So that you drop the body mind. Right now, your body mind and all of this that you believe is reality is arising in awake awareness. Awake awareness is not in what we call you or me, right? We're in it. Yeah. And so that's the field of generative possibility and happening. And so when we lose the focus or the vehicle through which consciousness has been operating, we'll be projecting something else. If we have cleared a fear-based, what I call a soul packet, which comes in because of karma, it's a matching frequency to this fear-based reality. And that's just my kindergarten model. Because if we wake up, see, we need to wake up in this body mind and know that we're not it. That's the high bar for this incarnation. because then you will not incarnate in another reality based on a frequency of fear and duality, right? So you need, it's really important to wake up out of the illusion of being a body mind. That's what you have. So as you do that, then your frequency is no longer caught in a feeling of fear or guilt or shame or anything else. So dying is just the refocusing of awareness. Right? It can certainly create all kinds of realities. We do it at night in our dream. We do it right here in this reality, right? So it just continues. There's nothing I once did a talk with one of my oldest grandson, was just 5 at the time, and he was really worried about the tsunami warning, and he lived on Maui. And so my son said, Koa's really scared. He can't sleep at night. And I said, well, I'll talk to him about that. I said, what are you worried about, Koa? He said, this tsunami thing, I didn't know it. It can just come in here. It can just wipe you out. You just die. And I said, wow, that's really interesting, that tsunami thing. I said, but can you ever remember when you weren't? It was a trick question, right? He said, no. I said, that's because you've always been. And we don't have to worry about tsunamis or any other change in anything that's going on here, because we always already are. And that's what's true. So we've never been born and we'll never die. It's an ongoing arising of the nature of reality as what we call love. I call it the higher octave of love, which is a kind of tone that we do not in our physical body have access to, but in our hearts we do. And so I used to say, as a kind of a teaser statement, you're as dead now as you'll ever be. So that would get attention, right? But that's actually true, right? So big deal, yeah. So is that the death part? We got it. Thank you, Priya. I appreciate it when people remember what I said.
I've been thinking about it all week.
Is there any left over here? Because I can.
Well, just that. So we don't, what you said was we awaken from this reality by awakening and understanding our true nature, not by dying.
That's right. Yeah.
There's so much more. I always have a ton of questions, but
That's so good.
that
That's what Jesus was talking about, being born again. Yeah. To be born of the spirit and not of the flesh. To be born of true nature, not of a limited fear-based identity.
Yes. Yes.
Well, this is, yeah, that's a good one, Steve. It's like that
Can you
sometimes,
repeat that? So he's asking about the lucid dreaming part.
right, the lucid dreaming part just gets us closer to the way this works. So it gets us, we wake up from a lucid dream and we realize it's still happening and this is it, right?
Yeah, so it's rare for people to be able to have the lucid dream. I don't know how many people have, but I have, and it was profound experience because I was able to become aware I was dreaming, and I was actually able to change the dream.
That's right. That's what's true here.
Yes, that's what I mean.
What she said was that she had a lucid dream and she realized in the dream that she was able to change the dream. That's what we're talking about here.
It seems a lot harder though to do it here, at least for me right now.
Yep. Would seem so. It would seem so. Yeah.
So Robert has a question.
Robert?
So any suggestions for how to access lucid dreaming?
The question is, any suggestions on how to access lucid dreaming?
There's a book back from, I don't know how long ago, the 80s maybe, about it that's helpful. there are some now, even though I can't see them, there's some apps now that also will alert you when you're dreaming so that you become lucid. So there's some actual technology available for lucid dreaming. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think the recommendation,
Oh, good.
the book, the Tibetan book of Yoga and Dreams by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. So there's a whole Tibetan dream yoga practice that you can do to help also.
All right. Did they hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's information out there for sure about how to do it.
It's always been very haphazard for me. So
Right.
it takes training like everything.
Yeah, living in this as a lucid dream is a powerful practice. And I think it's apt. I think it's I think it applies. Right? Yeah.
We have about 10 more minutes for questions before we're going to go into a meditation. Anyone else in the Zoom room have a question or here?
Total enlightenment. That was a great meditation. Look what we got.
Kim has her hand raised. Hang on, let me.
Hi, Polly.
Hi,
Good to
sweetheart.
be with you. Hi. I just have a question because no one else is raising their hands, and I feel like I could listen to you talk about what I'm about to ask over and over and over again. And so I'm hoping that some other people might feel the same way, which is, I quoted you in saying, I think last time we were together, we are draped in the occluding fabric of self-judgment. We are draped in separation. The prayer is to dissolve self-judgment in the alchemy of forgiveness.
Wow.
Yeah, good, right? Isn't that gorgeous? It's so poetic.
Really, it's very good.
Yeah, I'll just say it again. We are draped in the occluding fabric of self-judgment. We are draped in separation. The prayer is to dissolve self-judgment in the alchemy of forgiveness. And what real forgiveness is escapes me a bit. I just wondered if you could riff on that.
Yeah, it's you know, the one I tend to go back to is Byron Katie's, which is when you get that what you've believed had happened never happened. Right.
Mhm.
So the way that applies for the work that I do using the 6 steps is, and when you're forgiving yourself for having believed something when you were 3 years old or 7 years old or whatever, is to see that it was unavoidable, but it was the conclusion of a wounded child, basically. So that the forgiveness is like alchemy. It's like bringing of the wound or the mold into sunlight and to allowing it to dissipate. One of the things that happens in our culture is that we take up everything and make and then award PhDs based on that, right? we start to do therapy and we engage, and in that engagement and that attention to the wound, we're actually enlivening it. We're giving it more credit, more. So there's a very fine line between when we recognize what it is, when we see it, in that seeing, knowing that it is not who I am, it's what I have. And then I forgive myself for ever having believed something that couldn't be true, acknowledging that the child was innocent in that conclusion. So that it's kind of a coming home, and it's a kind of, because until then, the way that you quoted me, that description, it's like we're caught up in the amniotic sac of sorts, right? Of our own self abandonment. because of the experience of the child and the unavoidable conclusion again. So that's the nature of this entire fear-based reality has the frequency of fear. And when we incarnate here, I don't believe that we incarnate tabula rasa with a clean slate and then things happen. I believe that we incarnate with a frequency that to whatever degree must match this reality, or we wouldn't incarnate here. We wouldn't have that, the pull of that frequency that we identify with. I call it a soul packet. I don't know any other way to talk about it. Oh, but so we have the opportunity to, in the noticing, that we can see everything that I described so beautifully, I must say. I can't imagine he said that. But everything that was said there, it can be seen, and in that seeing, know that that's a creation. That limited, veiled experience of I'm not good enough or I don't matter. All of that is a creation. It has a story, it spins out the story. It has all of the players that match it and that show up. You know, it's like central casting is alive and well and showing up as all the ones who prove that I'm right about my conclusion about myself. So forgiveness is bringing that into the light and realizing that who I am is the light. And that light, the presence of that light is alchemical and dispels. That's what I call forgiveness. It dispels the illusion that was unavoidable, but never true. So I don't know if I went to where you were pointing.
Thank you. Thank you, Polly. Yeah.
Is it, Polly, this is Maureen, is that along the line, stepping off the polarity, stepping out of the polarity?
Right. Well, that it would certainly, that would be an aspect of it, because the minute that you're not defined as good or bad, right? That's what the mind always does. That's why psychology and therapy tends to hold us on that stick, but tries to keep us on the good end. I'm a really great person. I'm so kind and loving all the time. At the other end of the stick, one frequency, the other end of the stick is like, I'm a piece of shit and I never do anything right. So when you drop the judgment, which has the polarity embedded in it, then you're out of the polarity. And that's exactly right. The polarity is the what would I say? The way in which fear and resistance, basically fear, operates on a polarity. I've got to get something that's good. I've got to avoid something that's bad. So the polarity is built in. So you're exactly right. If you drop out of the polarity as you move through dissolving the wounded identity through forgiveness. Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, thank you. And did you mention something about that being on a triangle too?
Well, the base of you're remembering what we talked about. The base of the triangle is the stick. One end is good, the other end's bad. It's the knowledge of good and evil, the early garden story, right? The fall. So that is the stick of polarity. What we must do is to go what I call meta, or at the apex of that. It doesn't partake of that. It's prior to. It's actually awake awareness. And from that place, the stick is just, it's like polarity makes for great art, but lousy spirituality. We love the contrast of black and white and all of what comes out of polarity. But if we're caught in it, then we will create a reality that doesn't bring anything except suffering, actually.
Great, thank you.
We have time
I
for
have one more question, just one more little question, Polly.
Sure.
It's Jean, although it says Max, it's
Hi,
Ginny.
hi, honey.
Hi. So forgiveness, just to follow up on Kim's question, forgiveness, what I heard you say is the act of shedding light or the alchemical process of shedding light on a conclusion that was unavoidable. So that is itself forgiveness. It's not like you turn around and you say, like he says in the 6 steps, I forgive you for ever believing something that wasn't true. I forgive you for this. I forgive you for that. I mean, along those things. I love those 6 steps. I don't mean to be making fun of them at all. I just heard you say that it's simultaneous, coexistent with the act of realizing that self-judgment, although unavoidable, was a lie.
Right. That realization is forgiveness.
Yes, okay, that's what I just wanted
That's what
to,
I thought. Yeah, but the way that you spelled it out and the way it's put forth in the 6 steps and the way that I often work with people with it, we do those different facets of it. But the realization of that could never be true is the
Right.
forgiveness. It's
okay, good,
yeah,
okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So we're at that point where we shift into meditation. And out of a request, we're going to do a 45-minute silent meditation. You're welcome to stay, you're welcome to go at any point. Anything you want to say about that, Polly?
No, I think it's great for us to be together, and if it makes sense for you and your life to be in that space with all of us, that's great. But whatever works for you. We had many requests for that, and it's the sitting and the sharing of that space that was requested. So that's what we're responding to, and with great love and appreciation for all of you. Thank you so much for being with me. I love you.
Thank you, Polly. Thank you all.
Aloha. What an amazing experience of timelessness. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you, Polly.
Love you, Polly.
Thanks, Robin.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.